Now here's an interview with Justin Chenette, a former CTN intern, to talk about his experience as the first student representative on the Maine State Board of Education. Hi, I'm here with Justin Chenette, who is the first student representative on the Maine State Board of Education. Not only that, he has two television shows, one in Saco and one out of Westbrook. The one in Westbrook is with the CW, correct, network. But his real claim to fame is Justin Chenette was an intern here a few years ago, when I think you were a sophomore in high school, right, here at CTN. But we're going to save that for later. Right now, I want to find more out about how you got onto the State Board of Education and what it was like, what that whole thing is about. It's a new initiative, right? A new student takes over every year now.
Exactly. Well, it all began in October of 2007 when I actually interviewed Commissioner of Education Susan Gendron on my weekly public affairs show that he issued in Saco. And after the interview, she talked about this new initiative to bring two students on board to really talk about the student-oriented issues when dealing with statewide educational policy issues at the state board. And so I said, okay, I'll look into it. The deadline was 3 days later, so I had to rush to get application materials, letters of recommendation, everything in 3 days up to Augusta. I was pressing for time, but I ended up getting it in there, and the waiting period began after that. I waited a couple months, and then I got the call that I was in the top 4 being submitted, the names being submitted to the governor. And then after that, I waited about 3 more months, and then I got the call saying I was in the top 2, and the governor was appointing me to the Maine State Board of Education as the first student board member, which is a great honor to be given that opportunity. So I was really excited starting off with the opportunity, and I was filled with this sense of hope and optimism for change that Barack Obama instilled during his campaign for president, that I was going to be able to actually create change and actually get my hands in educational policy. The problem is I'm leaving the opportunity really discouraged with the political system and really disappointed that the bureaucratic process really triumphed over actually solving real issues. Because we were only given a voice, we don't have a vote. Which at first I was like, okay, that's okay, I can deal with that because I can utilize my voice in an appropriate manner to make my voice heard. The problem is there have been a number of individuals that have tried to suppress our voice, and that's the only thing we have. So it's been disappointing that I haven't been able to actually get in there and do something about the education problems.
Now, when you say we, you mean the whole Board of Education, or you as a student representative?
As a student representative, I've been advocating on several issues. For instance, civic engagement curriculum. I think it's critically important that we really get young people engaged civically. I'll give you a prime example of why that's important. I'm currently a high school senior at Thornton Academy, and I'm taking a political science course. And about 40 students out of about a class of 350 that take the course. And it's the first time in my 12 years of public education that we've actually gone in depth in how our government operates and our political system. And by the way, it's a voluntary course. A voluntary course. So what's going to happen to those 300 plus students that are not going to have that same opportunity to learn about our government and our political system? They're going to go out in the real world and not prepared to be active and engaged citizens. So we have to be more active in the curriculum level to get students civically engaged. So I've advocated on that issue.
Well, what happened when you advocated on the board on that issue? Just an example.
Well, basically, they tried to pass the buck. On several issues, that's what they do, is like, well, we don't handle that particular issue. The Secretary of State's office handles that issue. But when I had conversations with the Secretary of State, they tried to reach out to the Department of Education and failed to do so. So it's not just passing the buck. We actually have to take leadership, and even though we are an advisory board and we have statutory obligations, I think we do have an obligation as a State Board of Education to take an active role in our educational policy, whether it be raising awareness for the issue and letting the individuals who do handle the issue know about it so that they can solve it, or we actually take the leadership ourselves to solve the issue.
When you were dealing with the Board of Education, were there anybody on the board, adults on the board, that you had allies with or were able to make connections with?
Well, see, the issue is that the chair has kind of the supreme power on the board, so whatever the chair really wants, that's really what's dictated to the rest of the board. So a lot of times you get individuals who aren't willing to stand up. And because I'm a staunch advocate on behalf of the students and I tend to speak my mind, I've gotten into major conflicts on the board, particularly with the chair with that. But I really do appreciate the opportunity. And I really feel honored that I've been given this opportunity to learn what goes on behind the scenes in formulating educational policy. But what's critically important is we apply 21st century thinking to 21st century problems and don't let status quo triumph over positive change.
Well, there's someone who feel like you didn't have much of a voice in the Board of Education. You do have a voice. I just wanted, before we end, talk a little bit about the show that you're doing, or the shows that you're doing now. And it's a public affairs show, right? What's the name of it?
Well, it's called Youth in Politics on the CW Channel 12. It airs statewide Sundays at 11 a.m., and it's been a great opportunity. I've done about 20 episodes thus far. It's an interview-style weekly public affairs setup. I've interviewed Secretary of State Matthew Dunlap, Attorney General Janet Mills, and many others. And it's a great opportunity to launch my broadcasting career, besides the internship with CTN, because I really want to be a broadcast journalist to create positive change in my community by holding leaders accountable for their actions and inactions, what they say and what they don't say, and inform people about what's going on in the world around them so that they can become informed citizens and active citizens in this global community.
I'd like to see that. I wonder if you get people on the spot. Do you get people? I found that you get people on the spot when you're on the show about some of the public affairs issues that you're interested in.
I hold them accountable, and they know that, and I have a reputation in Augusta for holding leaders accountable. When I have my weekly public affairs show in Saco called The Issue, I hold the state legislators accountable for what they do and do not do. They've flip-flopped on a number of issues. I hold them accountable and hold it to it with specific quotes and specific legal actions, and I tell them straight up what's going on, because what the problem is, we get politicians who are more concerned with gaining political points than actually saying the truthful information that people need to hear, not want to hear. And it's the role of the media to hold leaders accountable. And for the problem is, many years now, media has dropped the ball in holding leaders accountable. And I really want to change that. I want to instill a sense of trust and credibility back in the media industry. And if people want to know more information about my career path, they can visit my website at justinchinette.com.
Oh, I wonder what television station might be able to give people a voice. Can you think of one?
Well, CTN is a great opportunity, actually. Any community access station, it's their responsibility to provide that voice for the community. CTN does a great job. TATV Channel 3 in Saco does a great job. Any education, any PEG programming, for instance,
yes.
Public access, educational, government access, that is where it really belongs, and that's their responsibility. But I would also like to see the commercial media do a better job in taking after the community access stations and really providing that voice for the community. It's so crucial that we continue that opportunity.
I want to thank you for saying that. Mm-hmm. And also I want to thank you for being here. I had no idea, even before we started, how much you got involved with the political aspect of what's going on in Augusta. So keep going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.